What if I told you toxic people don't ruin your life? You let them. They drain your energy, push past your boundaries, and thrive on control. But as Stoics, we don't play their game, we outsmart them. Here are 5 clever ways to deal with toxic people and take back your power. Stoicism teaches us that we can't control others, only ourselves. Trying to fix toxic people is a waste of energy. Instead, the key is setting boundaries, staying unshaken, and making sure they have no control over your mind. Today, we'll reveal 5 Stoic strategies to neutralize their influence. But first, subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a lesson in mastering your emotions and building an unshakable mindset. The first sign is that they drain your energy constantly. You know the feeling. You start your day in a good mood, focused on your goals, but then you interact with them. By the time the conversation is over, you feel depleted, like a weight has been placed on your shoulders. It's not always obvious at first. Sometimes, their negativity is disguised as venting, their manipulation masked as concern, their drama presented as just telling you what happened, but each time you leave feeling worse than before. Their presence is like a storm cloud, blocking out your clarity and replacing it with confusion, frustration, or exhaustion. Marcus Aurelius warned, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Toxic people infect your thoughts. They don't just bring problems. They make their problems your problems. They unload their burdens onto you without ever seeking solutions. They thrive on attention, on drawing you into their chaos, because your energy feeds them. Like fire consuming oxygen, they take from you without ever giving anything back. But here's what most people don't realize. This is not an accident. Their constant negativity, their endless complaints, their ability to twist every conversation into something about them. It's a strategy. Maybe not always a conscious one, but a strategy nonetheless. They pull you in, drain you, and when they've taken all they can, they leave you exhausted while they walk away feeling lighter. This is why you often feel relief when they finally leave the room, only to dread the next time you have to interact with them. Epictetus said, "Attach yourself to what is spiritually superior, regardless of what other people think or do. Hold to your true aspirations no matter what is going on around you." Toxic people will try to make their negativity your reality. They will act as if their struggles, their stress, their failures are yours to bear. But the truth is, you are not responsible for carrying the weight of their emotions. Your peace is your own. Your mind is your own. And as a Stoic, your duty is to guard it. Think about it. How much time have you lost replaying their words in your head? How many moments of peace have been stolen because their negativity lingers long after they've left? Their problems, their crises, their endless cycles of conflict become mental clutter that takes up space where your own thoughts should be. And the more space you give them, the less control you have over your own mind. This is why Stoicism teaches us the power of detachment. When you recognize that someone is constantly draining you, the solution is not to fix them. It's to remove their influence from your life. That doesn't always mean cutting them off entirely, though sometimes that is necessary. It means setting limits. It means refusing to absorb their emotions. It means understanding that their suffering does not have to become yours. Seneca tells us, "Associate with those who will make a better person of you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." The process is mutual, for people learn while they teach. A true friend, a true companion in life, does not leave you drained. They leave you inspired, challenged, strengthened. If someone in your life only brings exhaustion and never encouragement, only takes and never gives, then they are not a companion. They are a weight, and you do not have to carry them. But here's the catch. Toxic people do not like to be ignored. The moment you start setting boundaries, the moment you begin to pull away, they will try harder to pull you back in. They may accuse you of being selfish. They may guilt-trip you into listening to them. They may act as if your distance is a betrayal. But remember this, protecting your peace is not selfish. It is necessary. If you've ever felt drained after dealing with a toxic person, comment energy below. Stoics understand that peace is not found in fixing others. It is found in mastering oneself. But what happens when they refuse to respect your boundaries? when, no matter how much space you try to create, they keep forcing their way into your life. That brings us to the next sign, one that reveals the true nature of toxic individuals and how they try to control you. Let's talk about it. The second sign is that they disrespect your boundaries. You say no, and they act like they didn't hear you. You ask for space, and suddenly you're the bad person. You set a limit, and they take it as a challenge. Toxic people don't see boundaries as a form of self-respect. They see them as something to break, to push past, to control. It starts subtly. Maybe they ask for small favors, ones you don't mind doing at first. But soon, those requests turn into expectations, and those expectations turn into demands. The moment you hesitate, the moment you try to reclaim your time or energy, they twist the narrative. Why are you being so difficult? I thought you cared about me. After everything I've done for you? Their goal isn't just to cross your boundaries, it's to make you feel guilty for even having them. But Epictetus reminds us, no person is free who is not master of themselves. If you do not control your own life, someone else will. If you do not enforce your boundaries, they will be trampled. Toxic people thrive on testing limits, seeing how far they can push, how much they can take. The only way to stop them is to refuse to play their game. Think about it. When was the last time you felt drained because you said yes when you wanted to say no? When was the last time you made an excuse instead of simply holding your ground? Toxic individuals rely on hesitation. They count on you explaining, justifying, softening your stance. But here's the truth. A firm no is all they need. No explanation, no debate, no room for manipulation. Seneca said, "Associate only with those who improve you. Welcome those whom you yourself can improve." Boundaries are a test of respect. A good person honors them. A toxic person tries to break them. The people you allow into your life should uplift you, not drain you. And those who violate your boundaries are not companions. They are intruders. But setting boundaries is not just about keeping others in check. It's about mastering yourself. How many times have you made excuses for someone's behavior? How often have you bent your own rules to keep the peace, only to realize that the peace never lasts? The Stoic understands that real strength is in consistency, in standing firm even when it's uncomfortable. Toxic people will tell you that setting boundaries is cruel, that refusing them is selfish, that protecting your time, your energy, your emotions is unfair. But this is their greatest trick, making you feel guilty for choosing yourself. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your mind, your time, your energy, they belong to you. If someone believes they are entitled to them, they have already failed the test of respect. Here's a truth that most people don't want to accept. Toxic people don't change when you give them more chances. They change when they no longer have access to you, when they realize they can't manipulate you, when they see that their guilt-tripping, their pushing, their endless demands no longer work. And this only happens when you enforce your boundaries with unwavering discipline. If you've ever had someone trample your boundaries, comment respect below. Stoics set limits and stand by them. But what happens when boundaries aren't enough? When they don't just test limits, but actively thrive on control? These first two strategies expose how toxic people operate, but we're not done yet. The next 3 signs will show you how to completely disarm them and regain control of your life. But before we continue, make sure to like this video to support the channel and spread Stoic wisdom to more people. The third sign is that they thrive on drama and control. Toxic people don't just attract chaos, they manufacture it. They stir conflict, twist words, and manipulate situations, not because they seek resolution, but because they crave power. Their goal is simple: to keep you emotionally entangled, distracted, and reactive. They want you flustered, defensive, and constantly second-guessing yourself. The more you engage, the stronger their hold over you becomes. It often begins subtly, a sarcastic remark disguised as a joke, a vague comment meant to make you question yourself, a passive-aggressive sigh when you don't give them what they want. They plant seeds of discord, then stand back and watch as the chaos unfolds. If you get upset, they act innocent. If you confront them, they gaslight you. "I was just joking. You're overreacting. Why are you so sensitive?" They don't want clarity. They want control. Seneca said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a person perfected without trials." The lesson here is that conflict itself is not the enemy. It is your reaction to it that defines your strength. A Stoic does not avoid challenges, but they also do not get dragged into meaningless battles. When toxic people try to provoke you, remain unshaken. Let their words and manipulation fall flat. Think about it. Have you ever watched a toxic person unravel when you refused to engage? When their insult didn't get a rise out of you? When their attempt to stir drama was met with silence? Their power comes from your reaction. Without it, they are powerless. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The moment you recognize that their chaos only affects you if you let it, you reclaim your power. Their words, their accusations, their mind games. None of it matters unless you allow it to. But here's the trap most people fall into: the need to defend themselves. Toxic people thrive on this. They throw out accusations, waiting for you to prove them wrong. They paint you as the villain, waiting for you to justify yourself. But defending yourself only validates their game. Instead, be still. Be silent. Let them talk. The more they try to provoke you and fail, the more they expose themselves. Epictetus teaches, when someone tries to provoke you, know that it is your own opinion that disturbs you. The words of a toxic person only have weight if you give them meaning. Their gossip, their insults, their manipulation. None of it can harm you unless you believe it to be true. When you refuse to react, you force them to confront their own powerlessness. And that, more than anything, is what infuriates them. Nothing unsettles a manipulator more than indifference. They rely on your energy. They need your outrage, your frustration, your engagement. But a Stoic does not give their energy to foolishness. If you've ever watched a toxic person unravel when you refuse to engage, comment, control below. Stoics master themselves, not others. But what happens when a toxic person doesn't just create chaos, but also refuses to take responsibility for it? When, no matter how much damage they cause, they always find a way to make it someone else's fault. That brings us to the next sign, the clearest indicator of a person who will never change. Let's talk about it. The fourth sign is that they never take responsibility for their actions. You've seen it before. They create chaos, hurt others, twist reality, but when confronted, they are suddenly the victim. Nothing is ever their fault. If they lash out, it's because you made them angry. If they fail, it's because someone sabotaged them. If they betray your trust, somehow you're the one to blame. Their entire world is built on avoiding accountability. At first, you may try to reason with them. You may believe that if you just explain the situation clearly, they will see the truth. But toxic people don't argue to find truth. They argue to escape it. They deflect, manipulate, and turn every conversation into a maze of excuses and justifications. They are masters of emotional gymnastics, flipping blame onto others while making themselves look like the wounded party. Marcus Aurelius warns, waste no more time arguing about what a good person should be. Be one. There is no winning with someone who refuses to grow. No amount of logic, reasoning, or patience will change a person who is committed to their own delusions. The only way to protect your peace is to stop engaging. Think about how much energy you have wasted trying to make a toxic person see their own faults. How many times have you replayed conversations in your head, thinking of the perfect thing you could have said? How often have you believed that if you just approached the discussion differently, they might finally understand? But they never do, because understanding was never their goal. Seneca reminds us, fools seek to blame others for their misfortunes. The wise take responsibility for their own. A person who never takes responsibility will always find someone else to blame. And if you stay in their orbit long enough, that someone will eventually be you. They will make you responsible for their unhappiness, their mistakes, their shortcomings. They will rewrite history, portraying themselves as the victim and you as the villain. And the more you defend yourself, the more power you give them. Because here's the truth. The moment you try to prove your innocence to a liar, you've already lost. A Stoic does not waste time fixing those who refuse to grow. Growth is a choice. Responsibility is a choice. And some people will never choose them. Your duty is not to drag them towards self-awareness, but to walk away with your integrity intact. Epictetus said, "If someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation." Toxic people provoke because they want engagement. They want you trapped in their web of blame and guilt, justifying yourself over and over again. The only way to win is to refuse to play. If you've ever dealt with someone who never takes accountability, comment clarity below. Stoics do not chase those who run from truth. The most dangerous toxic person isn't just draining or manipulative. They actively try to keep you small. This final sign will reveal the ultimate way to break free from their influence. The final sign is that they resist or undermine your growth. A toxic person doesn't celebrate your success, they fear it. They see your growth as a threat, not an inspiration. When you strive for more, when you improve yourself, when you start becoming the person you were meant to be, they don't cheer for you. They mock, they belittle, they dismiss. They tell you, you've changed, but what they really mean is, you've outgrown me. At first, it might seem like they're just being honest. Maybe they say your goals are unrealistic. Maybe they tell you that your ambitions are a waste of time. But look closer. Are they giving you constructive criticism, or are they planting doubt? Are they challenging you to be better, or are they trying to keep you from rising above them? Seneca said, "Associate with those who will make a better person of you." Growth is the natural course of life. Every day we should strive to improve, to refine our character, to become wiser, stronger, and more disciplined. A real friend, a real ally, a real mentor will push you toward that growth. A toxic person, however, will do everything in their power to hold you back, because your growth reminds them of their stagnation. When you move forward, it forces them to see how little they have moved at all. And that is terrifying to them. They would rather keep you stuck at their level than rise to meet you. Think about it. How often have you downplayed your own success just to make someone else feel comfortable? How many times have you minimized your achievements, brushed off your progress, or made yourself smaller just to avoid making someone else insecure? This is how toxic people trap you. Not by stopping you outright, but by making you second-guess yourself. By making you feel guilty for evolving. And when subtle manipulation doesn't work, they resort to sabotage. Maybe they discourage you from taking risks. Maybe they make passive-aggressive comments about your dreams. Maybe they remind you of your past failures just when you're about to take a leap forward. If they can keep you doubting yourself, they can keep you from leaving them behind. But here's what they don't understand: growth is not something you can negotiate. A Stoic does not shrink to make others comfortable. A Stoic does not dim their light to spare fragile egos. A Stoic moves forward, regardless of who tries to hold them back. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Toxic people want control. They want to dictate what you believe about yourself. But your mind, your will, your path, that belongs to you alone. So, how do you deal with someone who resists your growth? You leave them behind. Not with anger, not with hatred, not with drama, just with silence and action. You outgrow them and you keep moving. You understand that not everyone is meant to come with you, and that's okay. But here's the real question. How do you fully remove toxic people from your life without guilt or regret? The answer is simple, but most people never realize it. Some people don't just bring occasional bad energy, they are bad energy. They complain about everything, find problems in every solution, and see life through a lens of defeat. They are never satisfied, never hopeful, and never willing to change. Worse, they expect you to listen to their misery, to carry their burdens, to absorb their negativity like a sponge. Epictetus warns us, the key is to keep company only with people who uplift you, whose presence calls forth your best. Stoicism teaches us that we are shaped by those around us. If you surround yourself with constant negativity, it will poison your mind. Their complaints become your complaints. Their pessimism infects your thinking. Without realizing it, you begin carrying their weight, suffering their burdens, and losing sight of your own path. A toxic person thrives when you join their misery. They want you to agree that the world is unfair, that life is hopeless, that there is no point in trying. But here's the truth. Their misery is not your responsibility. You can listen, you can empathize, but you do not have to be their emotional dumping ground. And here's where Stoicism gives you an edge. You do not have to argue with them, convince them, or fix them. You simply remove yourself from their influence. You choose to walk away. You understand that peace is something you must protect, and sometimes that means cutting ties. So now, the real question: how do you fully remove toxic people from your life without guilt or regret? The answer is simple, but most people never realize it. Let's talk about it. Toxic people take advantage of those who are generous, patient, and understanding. If you have a kind heart, they see it as an opportunity. They will ask for favors, drain your time, and push your limits, knowing that you struggle to say no. They do not respect your generosity, they expect it. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. But tolerance does not mean allowing yourself to be used. There is a difference between being kind and being a doormat. Stoicism teaches us to give, but not to be taken advantage of. Think about how many times you have gone out of your way for someone who never did the same for you. How often have you exhausted yourself trying to help someone who would never lift a finger for you in return? This is the cycle of toxic relationships. They take and take, but when you need something, suddenly, they are nowhere to be found. The moment you start setting limits, they turn on you. They call you selfish, ungrateful, or uncaring. Not because you have actually done anything wrong, but because you stopped letting them exploit you. So what do? You set boundaries and stick to them. You stop apologizing for protecting your energy. You understand that true kindness does not mean sacrificing yourself for people who only want to drain you. I once had someone in my life who fit every single one of these signs. First, I made excuses for them. I told myself they were just going through a rough time, that if I could be patient enough, understanding enough, I could help them change. I believed that with the right words, the right reasoning, they would see the damage they were causing, not just to me, but to themselves. But no matter what I did, no matter how much energy I poured into them, they remained the same. They drained my peace with their constant negativity. They disrespected my boundaries and dismissed my needs. They manipulated situations to keep me feeling small. Every interaction left me exhausted, questioning myself, wondering if I was overreacting, if I was expecting too much, if I was the one in the wrong. Then I came across a lesson from Stoicism that changed everything. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." And suddenly, I realized, this person had not only invaded my life, but they had invaded my mind. My thoughts were consumed with them, what they would say next, how they would react, whether they would twist my words, how to defend myself from their accusations. They had taken up residence in my head, and I was the one who had allowed it. That's when I finally understood. Stoicism doesn't teach us to fix others. It teaches us to fix ourselves. A toxic person will not change simply because you want them to. You can plead, explain, reason, but they are not looking for clarity. They are looking for control. They are not seeking growth. They are seeking dominance over your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions. They thrive when they see you flustered, when they see you second-guessing yourself, when they realize they have power over how you feel. Epictetus teaches, if someone succeeds in provoking you, realize that your mind is complicit in the provocation. And that was my mistake. I had let them provoke me. I had let them pull me into their world of endless arguments, deflections, and blame. I had handed them control over my emotions without even realizing it. The moment I stopped feeding their toxicity with my time and energy, I took my power back. And something incredible happened. The more I ignored their provocations, the more desperate they became. They tried harder to get a reaction. They pushed my boundaries even more. They insulted, guilt-tripped, manipulated, because without my energy, without my engagement, they had nothing. And that's when I finally saw the truth. They never had power over me. I had simply given it away. Walking away wasn't easy. There was guilt, There was the fear that I was being selfish. But then I remembered Seneca's words, associate with those who will make a better person of you, and I asked myself, is this person making me better? The answer was obvious. So I made the choice. I cut them off, not with anger, not with hatred, but with indifference. I chose peace over drama, growth over stagnation, and for the first time in a long time I felt free. And you can too, because the truth is, toxic people only have the power you give them. You don't need their approval. You don't need their validation. You don't need their permission to walk away. Now, the question is, how do you remove toxic people from your life without guilt or regret? The answer is simpler than you think, but most people never realize it. Let's talk about it. You don't fight toxic people, you outgrow them. You don't engage in their chaos, you don't stoop to their level, and you don't waste your energy trying to make them see reason. Instead, you rise. You set boundaries that cannot be broken. You build a life so full, so focused, so disciplined that their presence becomes insignificant. You master yourself, and no one can manipulate you. Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. This is the core of Stoicism. Toxic people want control, but they can only take what you willingly give them. The moment you decide to stop reacting, to stop feeding their need for attention, they lose all power over you. Think about it. How much time have you spent overanalyzing their words, replaying their actions, wondering what you could have done differently? How many moments of peace have you sacrificed to their negativity? And for what? To change them? To make them see their faults? They won't, because toxic people aren't looking for resolution. They are looking for control. But here's what they don't expect. You walking away with no anger, no explanation, no need for closure. They expect you to argue, to justify, to defend yourself. They expect an emotional response. When you give them nothing, they are left alone with themselves. And that is their greatest fear. Seneca said, associate with those who will make a better person of you. A Stoic does not beg for respect. A Stoic does not tolerate those who drain their energy, disrupt their peace, or undermine their growth. A Stoic chooses their company wisely. So, if someone disrespects your boundaries, manipulates your emotions, or poisons your mind with negativity, cut them off. Not with anger, not with malice, but with quiet certainty. You owe no explanation. You owe no apology. You owe it to yourself to move forward. If this resonated with you, comment freedom below. Because true freedom isn't escaping from toxic people. It's realizing they never had control in the first place. And here's the final thought. The ultimate power move isn't revenge, anger, or proving them wrong. It's indifference. A toxic person feeds off your reactions, your explanations, your need to be understood. They want you to argue, to justify, to plead your case. Because the moment you engage, they know they still have influence over you. Every time you react, they win. But the moment you stop giving them that, they lose their grip on you. They become powerless. You become untouchable. This is what Stoicism teaches, not to fight battles that drain you, but to walk away from them entirely. To master your emotions so deeply that no one can shake your peace. To be so in control of yourself that nothing they say, nothing they do, can pull you into their storm. Their insults, their manipulation, their attempts to provoke. None of it matters when you refuse to play their game. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, it is in your power to retire into yourself whenever you choose. The Stoic does not seek external validation or engage in petty conflicts. The Stoic stands firm, knowing that true strength lies in detachment. Think of the most destructive people you've encountered. What do they all have in common? They want control over your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions. They thrive on knowing they can affect you. But when you stop reacting, when you walk away without a word, without anger, without even a lingering thought of them, they are left alone with themselves. And that is their greatest punishment. Because in the end, the greatest victory over toxic people is simple. They no longer matter to you. Their words lose weight. Their presence becomes insignificant. They become just another passerby in the vast landscape of your life, barely worth a second thought. And when that happens, you've already won.